Hey guys, and welcome to the HellfireComms playthrough of God of War 2. Yes, it's another one of those revived dealies, and not only do I have the Hell Dragon here, good old THD, I've also brought Richy along for the ride. He's going to be our mythology bitch. Oh, all the trivia your heart could long for, or even wish for, but let's get on with it. I'm going to play on normal because I'm a bit of a pansy. Sadly, no subtitles. We are going to be waffling over most of this, but hey, it's a really old game. If you haven't played it by now, go out and play it yourself, I guess.
It is available in various collections. I believe the more recent one is God of War Saga for either PS3 or PS4. That gives you God of War 1, 2, 3, Chains of Olympus, and The Ghost of Sparta, both of those PSP titles, which I've played some of those, and they're not bad.
I had Chains of Olympus. That was one of my first PSP games, but as for how I'm playing the game, it's on this thing called the HD collection, which is just 1 and 2, which is fine by me, because I only needed 2 in HD, so I can play it in nice, 720p, 60 frames per second. I don't crave those things, but it's nice to have when it comes to recording, you know?
God of War was actually my second PS2 game I ever had. The first was it was the English version of Sengoku Basara, Devil Kings over here in the U.S.
Nice.
But after I played that for a little bit, I saw God of War, and I decided to trade in my copy for that game. And I knew I made the right choice when I captured the Leviathan that was attacking the ship with both of my, Blades of Chaos and skewered him on the ship's mast. And that's
beautiful.
when it was a good fucking moment, yeah. But I have to say, God of War 2 is probably my favorite of the series. It's just, it feels good to play. It doesn't get as bullshit hard as the first game does for other reasons, which we'll talk about later, and I just find it more memorable and interesting. Like the third one, it feels a little bit like a retread of the second one, and the PSP games, while decent, they're still just kind of side stuff that I don't feel really matters in the long run. This is the premier God of War game, in my opinion.
What about you, Richie? What's your take on the God of War franchise?
Well, I've never really had too much interest in it, largely because obviously when it initially came out I was not really into many violent games at all, and then Bayonetta came out and I was just like, I like this, and then got very, very, very annoyed that God of War 3 was doing remarkably well while Bayonetta, which is definitely the better game, was not doing very well, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
You're gonna ruffle some feathers with that statement, I think.
Well, it's true.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you God of War 3 is like a perfect game, but it ain't bad. Like I said, God of War 2 is way better in my opinion, but that's just me.
Now, I have had a little practice of this off screen, but it's been many of the years since I've played God of War properly, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't do very well to start off with, or throughout, I am NTom after all. Gotta keep up the expectations.
I do want to mention, you'll hear Tom's furious button tapping in the background. We are actually doing this live over screen share. So I am looking at a giant pixely mess because the technology for doing this in Skype is not very good.
Well, you could have it worse, mate. You could have it at 1 frames per second.
Well, that's true. That's like playing God of War over, like, mail. Back when they had play-by-mail games where you could do, like, strategy moves and things like that. But I'm just imagining doing it for stuff like God of War and Doom. Like, what do you do now? Do you swing? Do you jump? And, like, a fight takes, like, 5 months to resolve.
I'm doing much better than I originally anticipated, so go me.
Well, the thing is that you're fully powered up right now, so you've got a little bit more breathing room, really.
Yeah, I'm still the God of War. THD, could you basically summarize what happened in the first game for our viewers?
Okay, basically in the first game, I guess what happens is that, like, Kratos, comes under the thrall of Ares, the God of War, and the reason for that is that he offered his service, his life, to Ares in exchange for, surviving, like, this big battle. And as a result of some little bullshit orchestrated by Ares, Kratos ends up accidentally killing his family and having their ashes bound to his skin, making him called the Ghost of Sparta. And the whole events of the first game is him working with the other gods to come up with a way to kill Ares. And through something called Pandora's Box, he finally manages to do so. And at the end of the first game, Kratos becomes the new God of War. But as we see in this game and future games, unfolding, as well as prophecies from earlier PSP games that take place earlier in the timeline, things aren't exactly kosher here on Mount Olympus. Kratos' destiny is a little bit more complex than that. So this game begins the attempt to sort of bring him down from power. It doesn't fucking work, but they tried.
Yeah, no, my power-ups. So Richy, what... nowadays, why haven't you played the God of War series? Because I know you're all about the action games. Is it just the Platinum stuff you fuck with?
Well, I mean, half the reason why I've never played the God of War series is because PS3, and I never owned a PS3, so it's kind of just like, eh. But it is mostly Platinum stuff that I play. I do quite like my hack and slashes outside of that, but it just depends on the game series, and I mean, Suda 51 stuff I've played, and there's been a few others, but it's mostly been Platinum, to be fair, because they're the ones who make the games that I like.
I can understand some of the reluctance to play God of War, because God of War is one of those games where the various design tropes that they made up for this series then proceeded to inspire a lot of action games going forward. The light attack, the heavy attack, the combo change, grabbing, blocking and countering at the last moment. And this would continue with a lot of action games until more recently the Arkham series, the Batman games, where they focus on more of the attack, counter, stun, kind of mechanic, and then all those other games copy that. And like I said, I like God of War 2, but I can see how it kind of gets the Seinfeld effect going on, whereas it was more original at the time, but if you look back on it now, every other fucking game has done it so much that God of War seems very familiar as a result.
Oh, we got the famous QuickTime events.
Oh yeah, this is what the series is especially known for, and again, like I was saying, a lot of games have copied it since. With God of War, I can understand it in some contexts because, you're fighting these giant enemies and these huge godly monsters and things like that. But again, because of the whole Seinfeld effect, everybody has done it since then. And oftentimes, I found that QTE is used as a crutch to, kind of put the ending off of a giant, kind of boss battle. And it gets really familiar after a while. I'm not the hugest fan of QTE. In some contexts, if the context is good enough, then I can see the use for it. But other than that, I feel it can really easily be used as a way to just kind of skip doing actual work and designing a fight, you know what I'm saying?
This thing reminds me so much of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. It's like, you see into the future with that shit. Yes, always save your game, kids. You never know what's gonna happen.
Well, it's not the first game, so it's not going to be the Challenge of Hades. Oh god, God of War 1 had some of those annoying fucking bullshit around.
Alrighty, I think it's mythology time. Richy, hit us up with those sweet deets about the actual Kratos. Massive quotation marks there.
So, I mean, there's that, if you go to Wikipedia, there's actually very little there on Kratos. You've got, a very short paragraph. But it gives you the key things. So, I mean, he's not exactly one of the most important gods in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
He's certainly one of the Olympian deities, but he's, one of the lower tier ones, because you've got the Dodecatheon, which is, Zeus, Hera, Hermes, Athena, so on and so forth. You've got the Theoi Olympioi, which is, Heracles, Ganymede, so on and so forth. Then you've got the Muses, then you've got the Graces, then you've got the Hours, and then you've got the Styctides, which are essentially the winged enforcers of Zeus, so they're basically his bitches. And so that includes Kratos, it also includes his siblings, Nike...
Just do it.
Just do it.
Bia and Zealous, and I'm pretty sure all of them are the children of Pallas and Styx, who is, yes, the personification of the river.
Nice.
Kratos actually makes an appearance in Aeschylus's Prometheus Bound, Aeschylus being one of the most prominent Greek tragedians of the time, and he's one of the three that we still have the texts from, Prometheus Bound being one of them, and basically in that Kratos ties up Prometheus along with Hephaestus and Bia.
Prometheus Bound sounds like a Greek romance novel.
Well, so it's really not quite that. It's more Prometheus being hung out to dry, because, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and so gets punished by it by having his innards pecked out by birds, whatever, for all eternity. And it's basically him on the rock, talking for about an hour. You get extra bits and bobs, i.e. The Oceanids come and converse with him and try to comfort him, and then you get Io, who is a human maiden who's been pursued by the lustful Zeus, and has obviously they've fornicated together, and Hera turns her into a cow and sends a gadfly after her to annoy her for all eternity.
Okay.
And so there's that, and then Hermes comes down, and there's like what seems to be the potential for a solution to the situation, but we never got Prometheus restored. So, well, at least we don't have that text, because we've only got like 7 of Aeschylus' tragedies, Prometheus Bound being one of them, so
Can the next God of War game be like going about finding those lost manuscripts?
I mean, that would be nice.
God of Words.
God of Words. Oh, you can't. This is why I invite you into these commentaries.
And I don't know about you, Prometheus Bound sounds like an awesome Steam Greenlight game, because you totally know somebody would fucking do that. You gotta find these tragedies on this island, and there's crafting and zombies for some fucking reason.
Yeah, or using the Minecraft engine.
Or Unit Z or War Z or whatever the fuck they call that Unity asset pack with the, the Minecraft thing in there.
Oh, dodge. I'm not very good at dodging, that's why I'm using magic as kind of like a get out of jail free sort of thing.
Well, I mean, it's there, you might as well make use of it.
How did you fare with this boss exactly?
I didn't find him too bad, although, as we have seen here, and especially in my first time playing this game, the Colossus of Rhodes is deceptively faster than you would think. Being a giant metal man with energy on the inside.
Yeah.
Really, the big attack you have to watch out for is the surprising kind of fist smash, and then he swipes to the side. And also the one you have to be prepared for is when he rears back and does the double slam. That's when you swing over to the next island that you're on. I say islands, although that's not the right word.
Yeah, platform, yeah.
You swing over to the other platform to avoid that. But once you get that down, he's not too bad, in my experience.
In my experience, just to give you a little bit of what goes on inside NTom's head, I find dodging at the last second tends to help a lot in God of War 2. I don't know if that's like a thing that's actually, part of the game's overall core game design, if it helps if you do it at the last second. I kind of wish I had, like, Kratos time, A little bit of anger time, a little bit of witch time.
You see, this is why Bayonetta is the superior game, because witch time is basically one of the most amazing things ever to come into an action title, because it keeps the flow of the game going, which is just wonderful.
I mean, God of War, in terms of, dodging and, how perfect you have to be at the game, is definitely not Bayonetta, but, I'd have to say it is more forgiving. The Colossus of Rhodes is harder to dodge than, like, most of the enemies in the game, so it can give you a deceptive idea of difficulty. But it's honestly an easier boss compared to, like, the shit from God of War 1. Like, as we go, I will regale you about my experience with God of War 1 and how bullshit that game is sometimes.
Oh yeah, I've heard horror stories.
But, I do have to say, I personally, when I play God of War, I tend to be very defensive. I'm constantly moving around. I like to swipe, maybe do like a swing, and then kind of dodge around, things like that. Earlier enemies tend to telegraph their attacks a lot more, but then you'll fight the guys like the satyrs, who just won't fucking let up, and you really have to be defensive when you fight them, because they're constantly blocking and trying to counter you and things like that. They're good fights, they just take a really long time. In my experience, but then again, I play defensively, like I said.
Since we're like talking about, just how the game handles as a whole, how about this for an intro to the game? We're fighting a literal, like, Colossus. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really like this opening sequence.
Yeah.
Compared to all the other God of War games, I think this is the one that does it the best. It teaches you all the mechanics of the game, but at the same time, it's this great battle with the Colossus of Rhodes that's constantly following you. You're going through the city of Rhodes, during all this. It's just a great setup in general, and I'm a huge fan of it, and I think, like I said, it works better in this game compared to a lot of others.
Oh, I want that stuff up there. How do I get it?
I don't remember how I got that. I think up there is one of the urns that you can get, which I believe is kind of a post-game thing when you turn it on. it actually gives you like a, kind of cheating ability sort of thing. I believe that one up there sort of gives you unlimited magic. I don't know. It's been a long time since I played God of War 2, although I have beaten this game a few times, and I'm actually kind of getting the itch to go back. I just haven't recently because my PS2 isn't hooked up, and I would rather get like the God of War PS3 collections with all the various games on it, you know what I'm saying? So when I do that, I'll definitely come back and visit this game again. But until now, if my knowledge isn't perfect, that's why.
If my gameplay isn't perfect, Helldragon is the reason why.
Yeah, there you go. Just blame me for that, huh? Oh, you got up there. Okay.
I was about to say, I've got the guide up to hopefully be helpful, and that is pretty much what it says to do, is move the block there, and then you can get up, which is just like, yay!
I think that's the only urn I can reliably find. There's like some, I think I maybe found one other, but they tend to be pretty well hidden out of the place. Are you going to be using it, though, is my question.
Oh, do I have to go back and get it again? Oh, I gotta do all this gameplay stuff.
No, you got it. Oh, the block, is that what you mean? Okay, yeah.
Kratos angry!
Oh, you think that's fun? Try doing that timed.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, because there are not one but two particular instances where you have to kick a block around, on a sort of timer, if you will. First off is really early at the beginning of the game where you're on a ship and you're trying to get a block over to access a higher deck, but the problem is, this block is a crate, and there are archers on the deck that are constantly sniping at you, and they can break the crate, and you have to go back and get it again. It's fucking annoying.
Well, you see, this is where you needed a computerized crate, because then it could be a Kratos.
Richy, the last thing you want to do is rely on making this an escort mission, alright? The AI is never good.
Kratos, I like that.
It's a walled garden and Apple made it, though, that's what happened. And the second instance of that is in a place called the Cliffs of Madness, where you have to kick a block into a cave and into a certain area really fast. Because if you don't, spikes come up out of the ground and you die instantly. It's fucking annoying. I never got past that. That's where I actually stopped playing God of War 1, because it was such a fucking pain in the ass. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I rage quit, fair enough.
That's it, I quit. And then you fly off to another part of the US and you never see it in HFC again.
I can take down this beast.
Why are you so angry, Kratos? It's not like you lost your family or anything. You know, you ended up accidentally murdering them and oh, jeez.
See, that's why Tom is the god of counseling, because he's so good at it.
Yeah. I don't send swords down to Earth, though. Maybe I should. Because who wouldn't be, just sparked out of depression if you got a fucking glowing sword?
Into the sword, Kratos.
Probably not going to end well, though. I mean, generally, these glowing swords that come down from the heavens aren't always the best of signs. It's generally just like, if you think Sword of Damocles, always waiting to drop on your head.
What's the story behind that?
If you give me a few minutes, I'll
yeah, Richard's like, shit, I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, yes, because I wasn't thinking about that. It's just that sword came down and then I was just like, ooh, Rocky Horror, well, the Sword of Damocles is hanging over my head. Because I've just been to see Rocky Horror the other day.
I have the soundtrack to that, but, well, while he looks that up, I do have to agree that Kratos is constantly fucking angry all the time, even in situations where he really shouldn't be. There's like a few instances where he actually tries to be less angry, like when you see scenes where he's with his family, he tries to be caring, but he still comes off as really fucking pissed. So the guy is trying, but he's not doing a good job, you know what I'm saying?
I think this may be my favourite L1 move. Like, you press L1 and then you press, light attack. It's just like a friggin' Beyblade. It's great.
Yeah, it's great for one thing I do love about the God of War games is that it does feel satisfying when you use particular moves, especially that move you were using back there. Just kind of buzzsaw through enemies. It's a really kind of cathartic sort of feeling.
Okay, grab you. Or just do this, I guess. That works too.
So I found the Sword of Damocles stuff.
Uh-huh.
So this is basically verbatim from Wikipedia, but according to the story, Damocles was pandering to Dionysius, his king, and exclaimed to him that he was truly fortunate as a great man of power and authority surrounded by magnificence. Dionysius then offered to switch places with Damocles so that Damocles could taste that very fortune firsthand. Damocles quickly and eagerly accepted the king's proposal. He then sat down in the king's throne surrounded by every luxury, but Dionysius arranged that a huge sword should hang above the throne, held at the pommel only by a single hair of a horse's tail.
Okay.
Damocles finally begged the king that he be allowed to depart because he no longer wanted to be so fortunate, realising that with great fortune and power comes also great responsibility and danger.
So he's Spider-Man?
Kill them all, Kratos! Kill them all!
Yeah, it seems that way. Basically, that story was used by Cicero in a series of contrasting examples for reaching the conclusion that he'd been moving towards in his 5th disputation, in which the theme is that virtue is sufficient for living a happy life.
That leans more towards Stoic principles, doesn't it? Because I have actually read a few of the Stoics, mostly, I'm trying to remember, Marcus something or other. You know, that, that Greek name that I can't pronounce without my pocket dictionary with me. I've read a bit of Seneca, but he has like 147 fucking letters, and no thank you, I ain't got that kind of fucking time.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of Seneca. He's a bit of a pain.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a bit of a pain. I have to say that Stoicism in general can be misunderstood, but like I said, I'm not reading 147 fucking letters.